All right, let's talk about one of the greatest corporate rivalries in history. We're going to uncap this century-long, no-holds-barred battle between Coca-Cola and Pepsi. And trust me, this is way more than just a story about soda. It's an absolute saga of marketing genius, bold moves, and just the raw will to survive. So let me ask you this right off the bat. Coke or Pepsi? Come on, everyone's got an answer. It's a debate that's probably happened at every family barbecue you've ever been to. And that one simple choice? Well, that's the beating heart of the story we're getting into today. Okay, so to really get the Cola Wars, you first have to understand the two main characters in our story. In one corner, you've got Coca-Cola. I mean, they're the legacy leader, the original, the undisputed king for decades. And in the other corner, you have Pepsi, the bold challenger, the scrappy upstart, always ready to throw a punch. So yeah, let's set the stage for this epic showdown. We're going to start way back at the beginning, a time when one company basically owned the world, and the other one was quietly plotting a revolution. You know, for most of the 20th century, this wasn't even a fair fight. Coca-Cola wasn't just another product on the shelf. It was a piece of global culture, a symbol of American life that was literally everywhere. Its dominance felt absolute, totally unshakable. But then the 80s happened, and the challenger decided, you know what? It's time to go to war. The whole thing just exploded. Suddenly, the battles were being fought on billboards, on our TV screens, and right there in the grocery store aisles. And Pepsi's weapon of choice? Oh, it was brilliant, because it was so simple. The Pepsi Challenge. They just set up tables all over the country for blind taste tests and asked one question: which one tastes better? This was a direct shot at Coke's biggest strength, its iconic brand. And the results? They were absolutely shocking. Most people actually chose Pepsi. The Pepsi Challenge, though, was just the beginning. It grabbed all the headlines, started to seriously eat into Coke's market share, and it forced the king off the throne to react. Pretty soon, both sides were in an arms race for celebrity endorsements, Michael Jackson famously signing with Pepsi. The war was officially on. But as this war raged on, something really fascinating started to happen. The battlefield itself began to change. Both of these companies realized, hey, we can't just fight over one single product forever. The war had to get bigger. This quote right here from former PepsiCo CEO Indra Nooyi, it just captures that pivot perfectly. Pepsi, always the challenger, figured out that to win the war, they had to change the rules. They saw that the future wasn't just about cola, it was about having a whole diverse lineup of drinks and snacks. And just take a look at PepsiCo's business today. Their cola? It's only a piece of the pie. The real powerhouse for them is snacks. By buying up brands like Frito-Lay, Pepsi completely transformed itself into a food and beverage giant. It was an absolute game changer. So what's the big deal here? It means the fight wasn't just happening in the drinks cooler anymore. It was happening in basically every single aisle of the supermarket. So whether you're grabbing chips, a sports drink, or even oatmeal, chances are you're still choosing between these two titans. Okay, let's fast forward to right now, because a huge new global trend has totally changed the rules of engagement all over again, and that's the rise of the health-conscious consumer. The new battlegrounds look completely different. Now it's a race to see who can dominate the zero-sugar market, who can lead in bottled water and all those better-for-you options, and on top of all that, who's seen as the more sustainable, more environmentally friendly company. The war has totally evolved. So why does this all matter? Well, because survival in the 21st century isn't just about who has the better Super Bowl ad anymore. It's about who can adapt their entire way of doing business to meet the changing values of a whole new generation. Which, of course, brings us to the final big question. After 100 years of fighting, who's actually winning? Let's take a look at the scorecard as it stands today. What this scorecard really shows us are two very different playbooks for success. Coca-Cola is still the king of beverages, no question. They consistently dominate in that space. But PepsiCo's brilliant move into snacks gives them this incredibly stable financial base. They're both innovating for sure, just on totally different fronts. So the real takeaway here is that there's no knockout punch. There isn't one single winner. The Cola Wars have essentially forced both of these companies to become unbelievably resilient, evolving into two very different but equally powerful global giants. And you know, maybe that's the craziest lesson of all. The constant pressure, the endless competition. The rivalry itself is what has forced them to innovate, to adapt, and to survive for over a century. In a weird way, their greatest enemy has also been their greatest asset. So it leaves us with this really fascinating question to think about. As our tastes keep changing, what's the next great battle in the Cola War is going to be fought over? All I know for sure is this epic rivalry is far from over.